We're going to talk about marketing for a minute, but before we begin, who here is responsible for marketing for their organization? All of us in the room. How many people are solely responsible for marketing in their organization? How many people have to answer to someone for the marketing in their organization? Great. Most of us. And here's the thing. I'll ask one more question, then I'll move on. How many people feel like they're doing a great job in marketing and they know everything? Perfect, you came to the right place. And what I learned is, and I've been in marketing about 30 years, my background, 30 years in marketing. I've been with EZMarketing for about 5 years. Prior to that, I've been involved in the hotel industry. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own a small insurance business. I work exclusively with seniors. And everything I've done for 30 years has involved marketing in one form or another. And marketing has changed quite a bit in the 30 years I've been doing it. One thing I've learned over time, the more you learn, the smarter you get, the more you realize there's so much more to learn, so much more to experience, and every day it changes. If you were a marketing expert a year ago, 6 months ago, and you've done nothing to change, you're falling behind. And you're falling behind rapidly because, does anyone in this room have competition? Do you think the competition is sitting back and just waiting for you to react, or are they always trying to get better too? Okay? Let's try and stay one step ahead of the competition, 2 steps if we can. EZMarketing is a division of Easy Solution. Our job is to help improve the effectiveness of your marketing. Okay? Just that simple. We work in a couple different capacities. We serve sometimes as an extension of people's marketing arm where we do all aspects of marketing. Other times we just help improve situations. Maybe we'll improve a Facebook campaign. Maybe we'll build a website for people. Maybe we'll help with a postcard, a mailer. Sometimes we just help with a little second opinion, a little friendly advice. Either way is okay. The goal is to just try and help improve marketing little by little. When we talk to marketers, we generally come across 2 burning questions. And tell me if anyone can relate to this. How do you decide what kind of marketing to do? Do you do social media? Do you do Facebook ads, Facebook marketing? Do you do pay-per-click? Should you be doing things on your website? Should you be investing money in SEO? Should you be in the newspaper? Should you be on a billboard? Should you be on TV? Has anyone in here ever asked those questions? Okay? The second question is, and this is the $1 million question, and this is where it comes into play where you have to answer to people, even if it's yourself. How do you know if you're investing money in marketing or just spending money in marketing? What I mean by that is when you invest, whether it's $100, $1,000, $100,000, was that money well spent? Meaning I put it in something and I got money back out. Or does it just go in something and you have no idea if it was a good investment or just a big expense? Who here feels like every time I put $1,000 into something, I know I'm getting 10,000 back out? Anybody? Thank you for being honest. How many people have no idea or don't have a good handle on, if I spend $1,000, I really don't know how much I'm getting back out? Can anybody relate to that? Good. You're not alone. Don't feel like you're doing something wrong. Don't feel like you're in the minority. That's what most people deal with every day. What we're going to try and work on today is just help take some of the guesswork out of that, so that you can feel good about marketing dollars that you're investing versus spending. One thing we say to everyone, and I've been saying this for 30 years, I think I ought to patent it, I never want to see anyone be guilty of what we call a tactic dump. Does anybody want to take a stab at what I mean by that? I will. What I mean by that is, we're all charged with doing marketing. And either it's your job full-time and you've got to do marketing, and that's what they're paying you for, or it's something you do, something you keep track of, and if you see business start to slip, or you're not sure you're going to meet your projections, you know you have to do something, business is a little flat, competition came in, You feel like you've got to do something. So what happens? The guy from WGAL calls and says, oh my gosh, your business is down. Well, you've got to buy TV ads. All you need to do is just invest money in TV ads and you're going to see your business improve. Or the newspaper people come around. I notice there's no one from there in the room. And don't get me wrong, they're our friends. I'm not knocking them, there's a place for them, but I'm going to come back to why I don't think it's such a great idea. The people from the newspaper come and say, ah, business is off? David, I know just what you need to do. You need to buy a 17-point spread ad and you need to be in the Sunday paper and oh my gosh, we're doing a home builder section. And you've got to do that. The radio guy will tell you the same thing. The billboard guy is going to say, oh my gosh, here it is, you've got to buy this billboard. Jimmy the website salesman is going to come and say, oh, here we go, we've just got to build you a new website and then all your problems go away. Is that true? Maybe. But that's kind of the middle of what you should do. Before you start doing stuff, before you start doing marketing tactics, there's a couple things you need to do first. And all we're saying is, we want to see you follow a process. Does a process guarantee success? No, but it does improve the odds exponentially. How many people in the building trade? Did you ever hear this expression? Measure twice, cut once. It's the same thing in marketing, okay? It's no different in marketing. How you measure is a little bit different. The process is a little different, but don't make the same mistakes. Don't just decide to go in there and start throwing things on the wall and hope it works. Slow down a little, let's do it right. We always talk about preparing for success, you start with a plan. Abe Lincoln had a famous saying, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. Now, one thing we know about Abe Lincoln, he had a sharp axe. Okay? Do you need to spend all that time sharpening? I don't know. The key is you need to have the right tools. You need to prepare. Don't go starting to do a project until you're ready to start that project. Okay? Prep first. Does anyone disagree that Abe's a pretty smart guy? We can all agree he's got it down with a few things. We talk about, and we're big fans of, having a process for marketing. Oh, and by the way, I didn't tell everyone, I didn't do my housekeeping. Everyone has a packet in front of them, and the packet has note sheets so that you can follow along and fill out note sheets if you're so inclined, and it does have this process written out to try and make it a little bit easier. One other thing it does include, it has a template to follow and set up your own marketing plan. We tried to make it as easy as possible, and Kelly, thank you for putting all that together. When we talk about having a marketing plan, we say there's a step-by-step process. Step number 1, this is your axe sharpening. Before you go doing a tactic dump, before you decide, let me get my money involved in newspaper, radio, TV, start with discovery. The second step would be ideation. And we're going to cover these in a little bit more detail. Ideation is take what you learned in your discovery, take the knowledge that you have, and let's start to formulate who your customer is, what your message is, what you want to say. Marketing, and you're going to hear me say this a lot of times, marketing is the easiest thing in the world. Marketing is the most difficult thing in the world. It is quite simply telling the right story to the right people at the right time. The difficult part is understanding the story, the people, and the timing, but we can help with that. Third step is strategy. What's the overall big plan? Fourth step is tactics. Again, this is why I'm saying I don't want to vilify the guy from the newspaper, the radio, the website guy, whatever, but at what stage are they jumping into? They're jumping right into tactics. What I'm saying is there's 3 different parts of this you have to do before you decide whether or not you get on TV or radio or billboards. Number 5 is analysis. If you're going to do it, track it. Anything that's worth doing is worth checking and making sure you did it right, seeing what the return was on it. And number 6, it's adaptation and recreation. Marketing is not something you do once or twice and then forget about. Marketing has to be something that you get involved in, something that becomes part of your culture, part of your strategy. It's not something to just do and forget. Let's break it down. If we look at number one, discovery. When we talk about discovery, we talk about studying your business universe. What that means is, what is it about you that makes you unique? What is it about you that's special? Who are you attractive to? Who has a need for what you're doing? Who do you solve problems for? One of the biggest questions we ask everybody, who is at the center of your universe? Anyone want to take a stab at that? What exactly do I mean by that? Julie, say it again.
Who is your customer?
Who is your customer? What do most companies focus their energy on? I'm going to tell you how great I am. I'm going to tell you what's so wonderful about me. All that's important. I want to know how long you've been in business. I want to know what your culture's like. I want to know what you care about. I want to know everything about you. But what do I want to know first and foremost and most?
What are you going to do for me?
Say that again, sir.
What are you going to do for me?
What are you going to do for me? What motivates anyone to do anything? What does it mean to me? That's great. I'm glad you've been in business a long time. I'm glad you've won this award. I'm glad you've won that award. Ask yourself this question. With everything you're doing, we call it the sniff test. I'm going to call it the so what test. Any statement you're making, ask the question, so what? What does it mean for your customer? When we talk about understanding your business universe, can you be objective? Do you ever look at it and say, here's my greatest strengths? And not just what you think they are, what do your clients think are your greatest strengths? How do you find that out? Yeah, try asking. You'd be amazed. Sometimes the reason that you think people bought your product, service, good, whatever, is a little different from what the client bought it for. Ask that question. What opportunities are there out there? How is what you're doing relevant to what's going on in the world? Or more specifically, how is what's going around in the world relevant to what you're doing? What are your weaknesses? Can you be objective about it? We talk to clients all the time, and especially when it comes to their marketing, their ads, their content. When they're looking at what they've done, how are they looking at it? They're looking at it through the eyes of love. They're looking at it as, I know how hard I work. I know how great my people are. I know that I'm an ethical, relevant, well-meaning human being. But does a client see that, and does it show? Or are you looking at it, again, through the eyes of love? Sometimes one of the hardest things we have to do when we talk about people's marketing, their creations, their websites, things they've made, we have to tell them it's not that great. That's kind of like telling a mother that her baby's ugly. All right? It's a hard thing to do. But if it spares her the pain of entering that baby in a beauty contest, it's a pain that has to happen. Okay? And lastly, what are your threats? What's in your way? What's the competition doing? How do you stack up? Are you going to be able to compete in the open market? Another thing, too, we always talk about, who's your competition? If I ask most people who their competition is, and I'll use the building industry as an example, what's the number one answer that they say? Who's your competition? And they'll rattle it off, and I'll say, well, how do you know they're your competition? What do you think they say? I'm always bidding against them. It seems like anytime I'm talking to someone and I say, look, here's what we have, and this is what we can do, and they're going to say, yeah, well, so-and-so said the same thing. Or I know my prices are just a little higher. What I want to know is, and what we're going to ask you to do is, let's look a little beyond that, because yes, those are your competitors, and those are the challenges you know about. What's more dangerous than a challenge you know about? When you don't know about it. What we want to look at, what I want to know is, what does Google think? Who does Google think the competition is? If they're searching for a certain category, who's coming up against you? You may have competitors that you don't even know about. Those are the really dangerous ones. example of that. We don't want anyone in here to be a blockbuster, all right? And ordinarily when you say you want to be a blockbuster, that sounds like a good thing. Who in here is old enough to remember buying movies or renting movies from Blockbuster? Some of us. And maybe you guys, maybe some of us were little kids and we were doing that, but that was the thing to do, right? Friday nights, Saturday nights, we would run to Blockbuster, and what was the first thing you did when you got there? You run to that new release section. And it was even like, and maybe it's just me, I don't know, but did you, when you saw other cars pull up, did you try and shut your door quick and get out there before they did? Because there was only 2 copies of everything. Okay? Blockbuster for a long time was it. They had the market cornered. They thought they couldn't be touched because that's how people watched movies. Then along came a little company called Netflix. Anyone ever heard of them? Who's in a better situation right now, Blockbuster or Netflix? I think there's one Blockbuster left. Okay, where is it, in California? Alaska, thank you. Yeah, right. Down there. Okay. In 2000, Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix for $50 million, and they turned it down. Why? Because they're Blockbuster. They had it all. They didn't really pay attention to the competition. All they worried about was what their universe were like. They weren't paying attention to the climate of the country. They weren't paying attention to changes in technology, and they didn't pay attention to the little upstart company. Now, Netflix is around, and last year their revenue was $11.7 billion. Now, I'm not a high finance guy, but to me, if I could have bought a company for $50 million and 10 years later, 12 years later, it's worth $11 billion, that's a pretty good investment, right? So pay attention to the competition. Don't think that you're immune from everything, because we're not, okay? Who here is in a competitive environment? Probably all of us. Is anyone in here who's not in a competitive environment? Good? No, okay. Just pay attention. Don't be a blockbuster. Know your competition. Know what's going on in the market. Pay attention. Continue to market. Don't rest, even if you're on top. Right now, it's a pretty good economy. Businesses suffer in good economies even more so than bad economies. Why? Because you let your guard down. Be careful. Also, know who your current customers are. And here's a question. We ask people all the time, tell me who your customer is. Let me give you a hint. It's not anybody who has money that will walk in the door or call you up. What we're talking about when we talk about knowing who your customers are, know who is the ideal target customer. The people that you like to do business with. The people that when they walk in the door you say, oh, I'm so glad they're here. What else do you say? My gosh, if I could just get 100 more just like that, wouldn't life be great? What types of people are attracted to your business, and what are they worth, and what makes them tick? Okay? As important as how good you are, you need to work on who is attracted to us. There's who you like, but what's even more important than that is who likes you. When I was young and single and dating, I could have liked a lot of runway models. Odds are they weren't going to like me. All right? It's the same thing with your customers. Who is going to be attracted to you? Another question, we talk about understanding your business universe. What kind of marketing are you doing now? All of us are doing something. It could be we just have a website, it could be we hand out cards, it could be we go to chamber events, we attend BIA shows, we go to the home show. What type of marketing are you doing now? And is it working? And do you know if it's working? And always ask yourself this, what would I change? All right, if it's this, this, and this, if I'm being objective about it, what should I change? Most important question we ask all the time, are you proud of it? If I said to you right now, let's look at everybody's website one by one, let's pull them all up and take a look at them, and here's all the ads you did in the paper. How many people would be a little uncomfortable if we did that? How many people would be supremely proud? That's what we're going for. Be proud of what you're doing. Know that it's working. Know that you put time, effort, energy, and thought into it. Know that you had a plan before you did it. And if you didn't, it's not too late. It's never too late to change what you're doing now. Never. Forgive me, I get a little dry when I talk. I'm doing a lot of the talking. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Number 2, so that's discovery. Understand what it's all about. Once you've gathered that information, now what do? Okay, I've got this information. Here's what's good about me, here's what my challenges are, here's who I'm attractive to, this is what my customers like. Now what are we going to do with that information? I'm going to play a little video. Did anyone ever hear of a guy named Simon Sinek? Okay. This is a couple-minute video, so it's interesting, but if not, if you don't find it interesting, it's a good time to get more coffee, okay? Simon Sinek always talks about at the center of your business, at the center of your marketing, it should always be, what's your why? And I'll talk about that more in a second, but let's listen to Simon Sinek.
I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, when you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't know. That's a result.
He does that a lot.
What's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we're better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Great. I want to stay on that for just a second, and I'm going to call out my friends from Sonnewald in the back. When I talked to you, about a month ago? Something like that? One of the things I said to you was I was impressed with your story. I was impressed with your why. Because you're talking about what your mission is with helping people to eat healthy foods for a lot of reasons. I won't go into all the reasons, but to me, I thought that message resonated. They're not just another food store. They're not just people that are selling things. They're trying to improve people's lives. They feel it's their mission to help people be healthier, make smarter food choices. Those are reasons why. What we need to do, the next step is, let's get people to understand what that means, why that's important, what that means to me. We need to work on that going forward, okay? Ask yourself that question in all the things that you're doing. There's where you come into the so what test. This is why we do it. How does that affect everyone else? Because people will relate to the why as long as they relate it back to themselves. One thing, we talk about identifying ideal customers, know your customer, know what's important, know what keeps them up at night. Who here is in the people to consumer business or business to consumer? Who's in the business to business? One thing to keep in mind, no matter what that is, it's still a people to people business. It's person to person. Because even if you're selling to another business, people tell me that all the time, well, I'm selling to a business, I don't want to get too personal. Who in that business is buying your product? Businesses are run by people. And they're people with wants, needs, desires. They're people that stay up at night. They're people that are concerned about things. You've got to get to how does what you do or why does what you do make their lives better? Why should they buy from you when they can buy from anyone else? That's always the million-dollar question. We talk about buyer personas. Understand who they are. Does anyone know someone in their lives that's a great gift buyer? Do we all know one great gift buyer? We have a guy we work with named Bill Hager. Would anyone disagree with that? Bill is the greatest gift buyer ever. He gives the greatest gifts. They don't have to cost a lot of money, but they're always perfect. They're appropriate. Why is that? Because Bill gets to know people. He's inside everyone's head. He knows what's going on in their lives, and he has always, it's just the right gift because he understands who people are. Okay? And I don't generally say nice things about Bill these days, but I'm saying it again. So Bill, you are the best, one of the best gift givers I've ever met. Why? Because Bill understands a day in people's lives. He understands their goals, their pain points, obstacles, questions, things that are keeping them up at night, things that are troubling them. Do you understand that about your clients? And if you do understand it, are you using it in your marketing? Are you using it in your story? Is it part of your why? Having knowledge is a great thing, but having knowledge without using it is worthless. Use the great knowledge that you have to make your marketing better. You can't help people if you don't reach them and get them to understand that they should do business with you. An example of a persona, I'm going to use us. At EZMarketing, we have 3 personas that we work with. This is one of them. Tell me if this resonates with anyone in the room. And I'll read it because I know it's a little tough in the back. You're a VP, director, or senior professional responsible for marketing of your business. Does anyone relate to that so far? A lot of people have fit that role. You're managing a limited internal marketing team that doesn't get enough time or resources to get everything done. Who here has unlimited budgets? Who's got extra people that can do all kinds of work besides me? All right? You're concerned about proving the effectiveness of your marketing and justifying your expenditures. Are you guys ever on the carpet? You ever in the boardroom saying, well, why did you do that? How come you spent that? You want to do how much next year? Relate? Can anyone relate to that? And you want to keep current on marketing trends and best practices, but it's hard to find spare time on your calendar throughout the week. There's always something else to do. Does that sound familiar? That is one of our personas at EZMarketing. We have 3. We have the business owner, tell me if this is anyone else in here, that wears many, many hats. And marketing is something that they do when they have spare time and they don't have spare time. It's also something where they're spending their money and they're just saying, oh my gosh, I spent that money. I have no idea if it was well spent. I just feel like I have to do it, but I hate it. Then the third one is the marketing doer. The person who's tasked with, responsible for updating the website, understanding Facebook, doing all the posts, writing all the content, putting ads together. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Understand who your clients are. Understand what their needs are. Understand what their challenges are. Ask yourself, what's keeping these people up at night? And then make sure all of your marketing, all of your messaging, everything you're talking about with your why relates to those people or is something that they can relate to. Does that make sense? Last part of this, what's your USP? What makes you special? It answers the question of this, and again, this is where it's always the so what test. Why should I do business with you, David, when I can do business with anyone else that does what you do? How is it special? Why should I do that? Okay? A little hint, and we don't let people get away with this all the time. Please don't tell me it's my great customer service and my friendly, knowledgeable staff. all right? It's probably a little more than that. And nowadays, is that expected of people, or is that special? It's expected. People don't want average. People expect you to be smart, they expect you to be knowledgeable, they expect you to be friendly. That really doesn't set you apart from everyone else, unless you're ridiculous at it. An example of that, Disney, who else? Local one here. My opinion, Chick-fil-A. They're serving chicken. They're serving French fries and soda. But when you go up to the counter, how many times do they say your name before you leave? At least 3. And then you go to the table, and what do they say when they drop your food off?
My pleasure.
It's my pleasure. And I believe them that they believe that. They hire the right people to do that. So maybe we'll buy that if your service and your friendliness is exceptional. And you live it. And everybody in your company's behind you. Here's Ikea. This is where they have a pretty good message. They don't talk about friendly customer service. What's their goal? To create better everyday life for the many people. This is the Ikea Vision. Our business idea is to offer a wide range of well-designed, functional home furnishing products at prices so low that as many people as possible will be able to afford them. You guys believe that? Is anyone Ikea shoppers, fans? Do they have the greatest furniture ever? No. But it's functional, it's nice, it's cool, it's trendy, everybody can afford it. Usually it's easy to put together. And when you go into an Ikea, you know where everything is, right? Because it's the same store all the time, never changes, and everybody in the store knows where everything is. So that's a great use of something that's pretty average, but making it real. And USP should evolve. As your business evolves, so should your USP. And USP just is unique selling proposition. What makes you unique? What makes you different? MailChimp used to be send better email. What's it evolved to? Build your brand, sell more stuff. It just makes more sense nowadays to have it that way. And know your goals. When you talk about doing your ideation, you're talking about putting things together. What are you trying to do? What do you hope to accomplish with that message? Is it increase sales, just get more people to know about you, create customer relationships, create customer retention? What's the goal? What do you want to accomplish? Make your goals smart too. When you talk about goals and what you're trying to set out, are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? Are they relevant? Are they timely? The goal shouldn't be make more money. The goal should be, I want to grow revenue by 25%. That's a little bit more specific. Then work that backwards. 25% growth, what does that mean? How many sales is that? How many leads do you need to make that many sales? You guys probably have an idea. If X amount of people come in the door, I'm going to get a client. So how many leads do you need to generate? And how many people need to stop by your booth, call you on the phone, go by your website to get to that point? Number 3, strategy. Strategy is probably one of the hardest things to define, explain, and understand. And if you guys are experts at it and you've got it down pat, great. If not, you're like most other people. Even most marketers have a hard time explaining what strategy is. And I'll say that most people, when they talk about a strategy, use war analogies, right? Because it seems to be the easiest. It's we're gonna win the war, and we're gonna get the ground troops in there, and I'm gonna have rockets come overhead, and I'm gonna get ships in the harbor. We took a little kinder, gentler approach, okay? And we can guarantee you that no marketers were hurt in our strategy analogy, okay? So what we're talking about is a trip across the country. One thing to keep in mind too, you really can't talk about strategy without at least introducing goals and tactics. Because goals and tactics fit very, very closely into strategy. So our goal is, number 1 goal, we want to travel across the country. And we want to see as many things as we can to get there. So, taking off on our trip. Strategy is, okay, we're going to see as many things as we can, and we're going to do it on a southerly route, and we're going to do it by car. We're not going to fly, because if we flew, would we be able to see as many things as possible? No. Overall strategy, let's go. The tactics would be, we're going to travel X amount of miles per day, we're going to stay in hotels along the way, and our budget every day is going to be this. Why? Because strategy without a goal might get you across the country, but it may not get you there where you see as many things as you can. You may not go by car, and without tactics, you may either drive directly into the ocean, or you may run out of money when you get there. So strategy is the big overarching principle of what you want to accomplish. The tactics are the things you're going to need to do to get there and make it happen. Does that make sense? Would the war analogy have been better? Might have been more exciting, right? But the idea is incorporate goals and tactics into your strategy. Strategy, again, overarching, big picture, here's how we're going to get there. The goal is, what are we going to accomplish along the way to know we've been successful? And the tactics are, how exactly are we going to do it? Okay, make sense? Okay. When you talk about accomplishing goals, make sure, prioritize goals, determine the overall approach, and guys, one thing, write it down. What is something that you think is a goal but it's not written down? What's another word for that? A wish, a dream, a hope. Write it down, commit to it, and try and show somebody else. It's probably easy for most of us because we're accountable to other people. When we talk about marketing strategy too, another way to illustrate that is, we talk about the 7 P's of marketing. You start with a product. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to create. Then you come up with a price. The next is a place. Where are you going to sell it? What part of the market is it going to be available to? And who has a need for that product in that market? Then there's people. Who exactly will it go to? Who's going to be responsible for the promotion of it? What roles are going to be assigned to everyone in making that happen? The process. What type of process are we going to follow to make all this happen? How is it going to become reality? Physical evidence. Meaning, what is it? What does it look like? What's the packaging? What was the logo? How is the website set up? And then promotion. What exactly are we going to do to get the word out? Okay? Anyone ever take Marketing 101? Big part of that class, you talked about the 7 Ps. I didn't invent this, just for the record. Or we didn't invent this, for the record. Let's talk about a marketing message tip. Always give it the so what test. And here's one thing, if we remember nothing else besides the fact that I'm a Popeye fan. Kelly first made this slide and she made it Super Mario. And being a man in my 50s, I couldn't relate to Super Mario as much as I could relate to Popeye, okay? My boyhood hero. Anyone in here Popeye fans besides me? A few of us, okay? Here's the thing. This will help you remember this. Don't sell what it is, sell what it does. Okay? The client, Popeye. The product, spinach. Popeye really doesn't care that spinach is good fiber, good roughage. It's full of vitamins and minerals. What does Popeye care about? Popeye cares about the fact that when he eats spinach, he gets super strong, he can do amazing things, and he can beat up the bad guys and stop them from doing bad things. Okay? So always remember and always give it the so what test. And guys, don't sell what it is, sell what it does. And people will say to me, well, that's hard to do in what I do. I'm selling in addition. Okay? You're not selling in addition. You're selling improving someone's home value. You're selling relaxation. You're selling spending time with family. You're selling your house looking so much better. Your neighbors coming over and being in awe of you because you did this. Okay? People will spend money on things like that. They're not going to spend money on a deck. They're going to spend money on what the deck does for them. Okay? And the same thing, everyone in their own respective industries, if you need help with walking that through, by all means come and see me, call me, email me, text me. I'm happy to walk you through that. Because sometimes you guys are so close to it you can't really see it. You think the benefits are obvious, or the features are obvious. People can certainly understand what we do and they'll understand how they feel, but your marketing message has to convey that. Don't assume, let's show them, let's help guide people in what we're looking for. Marketing message tip number 2, tell them why they should buy it from you. How does what you do differ from the competition? Does anybody remember these two characters? Which one is what? Like, what were they selling? Who remembers that?
PC and Mac.
Mac versus PCs. Who's who?
Writes and Mac.
Writes the Mac, the guy on the left is a PC. Sadly, at this stage of my life, I relate better to the guy on the left, okay? But the idea was they were showing the difference. And again, if you're buying a Mac, you're cool, you're hip, you're young, this is what you're doing, this is the change of the future. You're not the stodgy old guy that's caught in the past. They didn't just try and sell computers, they sold image, lifestyle. They were more focused not on what it does, but how it made you feel, okay? Great lesson in advertising. These were some of the most effective ads ever run for Macs and PCs. Or Macs, I'm sorry, Macs versus PCs. Number 3, talk like a real person, all right? Don't get caught up in industry jargon. Don't use industry terms. Speak English. Speak simple. Speak language that people can relate to. Why? Who are you selling to, whether it's business to business or business to consumer? Who is at the heart of what you're selling? People. Relate to people. Here's a little video that helps illustrate that.
If you run an online business, you've got to send emails and do ads and talk to people if you want them to buy your stuff. But that's a lot of people and you only have one brain. Wrong. With MailChimp, you get 2 brains. A MailChimp brain and the one you already have. Probably. When you turn it on, it can do things your other brain doesn't have time to do or can't do or doesn't want to do. Those things are called automations. But I think it's like one big brain. So that's why we're talking about brains.
Okay? Can everyone in the back hear that? Okay? Simple. English. People understand that. One thing too, why do people, or why do ads, or why do companies, or why do we sometimes use things that are interesting and humor as part of our ads or part of our marketing?
Memorable.
Say it again.
It's memorable.
It's memorable. Why is it memorable? Just because it's interesting. And I'll get statistically here. Statistically, people have a recall of 70% higher if they're in a good mood or they're entertained than if they're in a bad mood or bored. Did everyone know that? And people ask me all the time about different ads, and one of the things, I've never been a big fan of ads on the news or ads in the newspaper. Not that I think they're all wrong or you shouldn't do it, but let me ask you a question. What's on the news? Bad news. What's in the paper? Bad news. So again, I'm not saying you shouldn't do them. I'm saying that even when people have ads in there, the recall is lower than if someone is doing something like, I don't know, give me an example of something you look at to be entertained or when you're in a good mood or something that makes you happy. Facebook. When you're Googling things, when you're looking at video. People generally have a better recall of these things because they're entertained, they're happy, they're not mad when they're doing it. They're in a good place mentally, therefore they remember things a little bit easier.
It's also why Wendy's is so successful.
Say that again?
It's also why Wendy's is so successful with their social media.
Yeah.
They're killing it.
And that's a great example too. Wendy's is not advertising under traditional means. Why? Who's Wendy's client right now? Generally a little bit younger, a little bit more tech savvy. You know, like if you ask me, I hardly ever see Wendy's ads. And you think I'd be the perfect guy, a big fat guy, you'd think he'd be buying a lot of hamburgers. But it's generally younger people and it's all through digital. And you're absolutely right, they're killing it. Because they're a little bit edgy, they're interesting, they're funny, they're relatable. So that's a great example of that. So thank you for that. Okay, marketing message tip number 4. People always look to be told what to do. And I don't mean that to be snarky. I don't mean like if I tell you what to do, you're going to get up and do it. I'm saying that no one likes to be confused No one likes indecision. No one likes to not be clear on what the next step is. So all of your marketing, all your ads should have what we call calls to action, okay? Get started, enter your email, look further, get more details. These are subtle little things, but they definitely help with conversions. They help get people in there. So clear calls to action, and also guarantees or social proof can strengthen your calls to action. Guarantees are simply, money back guarantee, free trial, all these things help. If you're not in a business where you can do that, you talk about social proof. What do I mean by social proof? Say it again. Reviews. Number one tool that contractors are using right now, reviews and social media. Why? Because people that are finding things on social media find that review as reliable as a good friend of theirs telling them who to use. In my neighborhood, if somebody's looking for getting a new deck built, getting new windows, getting something painted, what happens in my neighborhood with all the neighbors and all the different friends? Everybody goes on social media and it's, hey, I'm looking for a painter, what should I do? Within minutes, how many people are recommending painters? And they're saying either hire this guy, oh, you need to talk to my friend Jimmy because he really looked out for me, or what else are they doing? Yeah, stay away from this guy. My fence is still unpainted. I'm still waiting for it to get done. So that's called social proof. If your friends are saying it, they're saying it through social media, it's a big impact. So you guys in that trade, if you're not in social media, you need to figure out a way to do it, one way or another. Also, what's your budget? What can you afford, or what do you need to accomplish your goals? When we talk to people about doing marketing, we basically work in one of two ways. Way number one is, and this is probably how most of us work, you have a certain amount of money, and that's allotted to you. Does that sound familiar? And whomever's giving you that money, whether it's your board, your company, your wife, your husband, your friends, whoever you're working with says, look, you've got this much money. Figure out what you're going to do with it. Is that how you guys do it here? Everybody's allotted X amount of dollars now. Take that money and do the best you can with it. Nothing wrong with that. It's the way most people do it. In a perfect world, it would be, here's what our goals are, here's how many people we want to reach, this is how many new clients we need, this is how much revenue I need, what are we going to do to put in place to get there? Okay? That's the ideal situation. It happens sometimes, it happens with bigger companies. Most of us have X amount of dollars to work with, and it's, okay, here's who we need to reach, this is how we need to reach them, what do we do? The U.S. Small Business Association recommends that you should reinvest 7 to 8% of your gross revenue in your marketing. Now, that's a loose number. What factors into that? Market conditions, competition in the area, how competitive your industry is, what your growth plans are, whether or not you're in a new market. So there's a lot of factors that go in, but as a rule of thumb, 7 to 8% of your revenue should be reinvested in marketing. Number 4, tactics. We're coming in the home stretch, guys. Tactics, that's where you're actually doing things. Tactics are specific actions that execute the strategy. Bottom line is, how are you going to reach the target audience with this message that we've crafted? What's the best way to do it? What's the most cost-effective way to do it? That's where your tactics come in. And this is email, trade shows, websites, printed collateral, surveys, referrals, social media, TV ads. It goes on and on and on. Some of us are doing many of these things. Some of us are doing none of these things. Okay? What's right, what's wrong, depends on the business, depends on the budget, depends on your audience, depends on the goals. That's why, again, our friends with radio, TV, newspaper are our friends. But are they taking into account what's best for you and to reach the target audience? I've never met a TV station or a radio station that didn't have the perfect audience for you, no matter what you were doing. Never met. And how do you decide which tactics to use? Again, your goals. What do you hope to accomplish? Your budget. How much money do you have to spend? It may be that TV is the way for you to go. But if you don't have a TV budget, why worry about it? Why talk about it? Let's figure out a different way to get where you need to go. And above all else, your audience. How does your target customer, how do the people that you're trying to reach, how do they get their information? How do they make decisions? What do they feel is relevant? How do they decide, I have more faith in this, or I'm going to pay more attention to this than I am to this? That's what you need to know to determine which tactics to use. We do have a couple that we feel are musts, all right? And this is, and I'm going to start with a website. Would anyone in here argue that you've got to have a website today? And I'll say this, and I've never met a company really that didn't need a website. The future may be, if you look at the landscape down the road, Google may get to the point where they think you don't need a website, or you need a very small website. Google thinks that all you need is Google. And they're going to create their own things, and everything you do goes through Google, and you're going to get all the information you need. That's down the road, that's not here now. Everybody needs a website. And I'll say this. You need to have the best website you can afford to have. You don't need to have a $100,000 website. You don't need to have a $50,000 website, necessarily. You need to have the best website you can. Whether that's one that you got from Wix, whether that's one you built yourself, whether that's one you paid a professional company to work on, it just needs to be the best you can. If you're looking to shortcut money, don't shortcut it on your website. Unless it's to increase getting people to the website. 81% of shoppers do research online before making big purchase decisions. Would anyone disagree with that? Does anyone not go to a website before they look at a company or buy something anymore? Even the movies. You don't go to the movies without checking out the trailer and the site and picking your seats. 91% of customers have visited a store because of their online experience. One thing you're going to hear more and more about, it's always been around, but it's going to be more relevant than any other time, your customer experience on that website.
Yeah.
Quick question. Who's visited their own website in the last 3 days? Good, that's excellent. I'm happy to hear that. Who hasn't been on their website in at least 2 weeks? Good, well, you guys are great, or you're lying to me. My point is, look at that website, and I want you to look at it next time, not from the eyes of love, not where you know everything about it, not how you know how to buzz right to everything you want to find. Look at it like it's the first time you've ever seen that website. Look at it through the eyes of a customer. Does it tell the story? Does it pass the so what test? Can you find what you're looking for? How many clicks did it take to get you to where you wanted to be? Did things load quickly? Did you feel good being there? Were you able to buy something if you wanted to? Ask yourself, would I buy from me if this was my first experience with this? Or would I visit me, or would I call me? Whatever it is that you're using your website for. And websites have different goals. Some people use them as sales tools, some people use them as information gatherers, some people use them just as validation tools. We have a lot of clients that are roofers, home builders, landscapers, and they don't need their website to be a 24-hour-a-day sales machine generating leads. They just want to look for real. If someone's looking them up and they want to see, oh, is this guy a legitimate contractor, that they have a website to back it up. So validation websites are fine in the right instances. Okay? So website. Number 2, SEO. Yes, you've got to have a website. Yes, it has to be a great experience. But you also have to get people to the website. What good is having a website if nobody finds it? What good is having great content? What good is it having great material? What difference does it make if you're the best there is at your industry if nobody knows about it? What SEO does is it helps get people to you, to your website, so they can follow up with you. They can buy from you. They can convert. They can take the next step. 3.5 billion people search Google every day. 3.5 billion. And I don't think that's going to shrink anytime soon. 71% of B2B researchers start research with a generic search. So they are searching by category, not necessarily just your name. So don't think because you're B2B, and people tell me that, well, I'm not sure I need that, I'm B2B. Yes, you do. Because who's at the heart of businesses? People. One thing too, even if you're in a company and you say, look, people have been working with my company for decades. Everybody knows who I am. I know people will contact me. Why will I tell you? That's great, but it's still important to do SEO. It's still important that people can find you. What's happening with people that have been at companies now for 20 years, 30 years? They're starting to retire. Who's taking their place? Younger people. People that research online. People that don't know you. People that haven't done business with you for 30 years. Trust me when I tell you that your website and searches is part of the sales process in almost everything you do. Even your loyal customers are under pressure right now to do what? Get a couple of bids. Yep, we like that guy and we've done business with him for a long time, but let's keep him honest. Let's make sure it's the right thing to do. You've got to have SEO. 72% of consumers will do a local search visiting a store within 5 miles. Local search is a big part of SEO now. Voice search is a big part of SEO now. Coding has always been a big part of it. What's at the heart of most SEO? Content. The right story to the right people at the right time. When is the right time? Anybody? When is the right time for every client?
When they're looking.
When they're looking, when they're ready. So you need to make sure that your information can come up, your information is available when they're ready. When they read the newspaper, and I'm not knocking the newspaper again, when they read the newspaper, are they ready? When they look at a magazine, are they ready? When they search online, are they ready? Yeah, they are. Social media. 1.4 billion active daily users on Facebook alone. And we're big fans of Facebook. When I talk about social media, yes, there's a place for Twitter. Yes, there's a place for Pinterest. Yes, there's a place for Snapchat. But Facebook is where people are going that are, for most of us, in our market demographics. Facebook took a hit. You've heard that before. Some people got mad at Facebook and stopped using them. You know what that meant? Instead of 1.4, it might be 1.39 now, okay? Yeah, millions of people left. That still leaves billions of people that are still using Facebook. And 25% of all adult internet users use LinkedIn. Who here has a LinkedIn profile? Great, outstanding, great group. Well again, you're mostly that middle persona we talked about, the business, the marketing strategist, okay, that's where you live. But that's a big deal. You should be on LinkedIn. People want to do business with who? People. What's the best way to see if people are professional people? Let me ask it a different way. Let me ask it properly. What's the best way to research professional people? LinkedIn, by far. How many people use LinkedIn to check on somebody in this room, whether it's me or EZMarketing or anyone else? I don't mind telling you, I looked at a few of you guys too. Number one source. And about 1/3 of all the minutes spent on internet use are social media and messaging. So people are using social media. It's a must-have. Are you coming up to shake my hand?
Thank you. Sorry, I think it's.
I won't point out that you're leaving. Don't worry. Right, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Email. How many people have robust email lists? Few of us. 86% of professionals prefer to use email when communicating. Why? Why is email such a big deal? When do you use it? When you need it and when you want to. You get a phone call, it's great. You know, talking face-to-face, people-to-people is awesome. But you know what? You have to stop everything you're doing and do that. We've gotten very used to email for communications. And sources suggest ROI of email is somewhere between $38 and $44 for every dollar spent. So I think that's a pretty good investment. Invest a dollar, get 44 back. I do that all day long. And 75% of companies agree that email offers good or excellent ROI. If you're not using email, try and find out a way to do it. It's hard to find a more cost-effective way to market than going to people that already know you, already like you, have expressed an interest in you, and you're sending them some friendly reminders. What about everything else? Should you do other things? Maybe. And I'm not saying they're bad, and I'm not saying only do these 4 things. I am saying, though, that we've worked with thousands of people over the years. We know these are effective, the 4 we talked about. Websites, email, social media, SEO, thank you. I know, I don't remember them, but I know they're good. So should you do everything else? Yeah, but again, don't do it randomly. Make sure you follow the process before you do. Step 5, analyze. If you're going to do it, track it. If you're going to do it, see if there is a return. If you're going to do it, measure it. Objective should, and the idea is, the goal is, should decide what you're going to track and whether or not you consider it a success. We used a bowling analogy. What was your goal? Was your goal to knock down as many pins as possible? If that's the case, use all the lanes. If your goal was to have a great score bowling, use your own lane. You'll get a lot better feel for how you did. And if you're going to track leads and do sales, you have to do something trackable. Meaning, set yourself up for success. Some good things to track, ways to track effectively. Make sure you set up calls to action on landing pages. Make sure you've got trackable links in all your digital marketing. Make sure you have tracked phone numbers. If you're going to put an ad in the paper, you're going to do a billboard, you're going to do something online, make sure it's a phone number that you can track. So that you know if someone called that number, it came from the ads you did. So you can get a feel for whether or not you spent your money effectively. Special offers are always good. Something unique. And coupon codes. For our friends in retail or anyone who's got a physical product to sell, offer something special, make it trackable, put something on so that you know whether or not it was a good investment for you. When you talk about metrics, we talk about doing things, this is bottom-up metrics, okay? Number 1, there's the execution metrics. Did we do things right? Meaning, was there a good call to action? Was it the right message? Did we target the right audience? Okay? Did we do the basics or did we miss a step or two? There's a lot of reasons why marketing works. There's a lot of reasons why marketing doesn't work. Did we do the right things? I'm sorry, did we do things right? Number 2, are we doing the right things? Meaning, based on all that, we know we did it right. We know we had calls to actions. We know it was the right message. We know it spoke to the right audience. But did we deliver it in the best way possible? Meaning, was our audience 55-year-old men and we were on Snapchat? Okay? We don't spend a lot of time there, I gotta be honest with you. Are we doing the right things? Did you do what you should have done? Was it cost effective to do it that way? And then last thing, are we creating the right financial impact? If we invested money, did we get sufficient return on that? And did we meet our goals? Sometimes it's not just about did we get return, did we increase awareness? Do people know about us more than ever before? Do we have more people following us on Facebook? It's not always about did we make a sale. Did we move the needle? Did we make an impact? Did we improve our situation? And then again, with that, execution metrics, how many people looked at everything? How many people shared? How many engagements did we get? Did we create any leads? Did we use the right channels to create those leads? And then lastly, did we make money? Again, they all follow suit. I kind of blended the two together. I jumped ahead on the slide. Sorry about that. Sorry, Kelly.
That's okay, Chris.
All right. She's taking notes back there, believe me. And lastly, top level metrics you should reach for. Meaning, what's the ultimate goal? What survives the boardroom? What helps move the needle? What generates revenue in your company? Number of leads and customers by source, meaning how many did I get through social media? How many did I get when I was at the trade show? How many did I get on my website? How many came to that call tracking number? And what did it mean? And what was the conversion rate? What was revenue generated by your marketing efforts? And the bottom line is, okay, you got someone in the door. Is that a one-time client? Is that client worth $1,000 because we, I don't know, stained their deck? Or is it something where we generated a client and we have that client now for years and years? Did we bring them in and we stained their deck, but then we also built a fence for them? We built an addition on their house. Caleb, in your case, you brought someone into Homestead Village. Did they stay for a month or did they live there for 10 years? Okay, what's that customer worth? Number 6, yes, I want everything written down. Yes, I want you guys to commit to a plan. Yes, I want you to stay the course. Yes, I want you to have a great strategy. But I also want you guys to be a little adaptable. Don't necessarily set it in stone, meaning that if you're trying something and you're measuring something and you're getting results, obviously keep doing it. Maybe do more of it. But if it's not working, let's try something else. One of the best things about marketing today, we can be adaptable. We can change it. We don't have to print 50,000 copies of something and live with it for 3 years no matter what it's like. We can adapt it. And it's okay if you don't get it right the first time. You guys heard it here. It's okay. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be pretty good. And we have to keep getting better. And if you've been doing a lot of these things and you're doing them well, great. Keep doing them. If you've been doing them and they're let's talk. Let's see if we can make it better. Or talk to someone else or whatever the process is. But I will ask you to do this. Be honest with yourselves. Be objective. Don't feel ashamed like, oh, I'm supposed to know everything. I'm supposed to do all this correct. No, you don't. You're supposed to be pretty smart and you're supposed to be adaptable and you're supposed to be able to learn. So give yourself the opportunity to get better. If you know everything, you can't learn anything. If you've already done everything perfect, you can't do it better. So be adaptable, and it's okay. Forgive yourself. Everyone here has absolution on anything you've done wrong in your marketing. But let's try and make it a little bit better. And how often do you update strategies? As often as it makes sense. Good benchmarks, indicators. After you do a major campaign, after you do a big campaign, take a look at it, measure it, look at it objectively, what was good about it, what wasn't good about it, what could we have done better, what worked, what brought people in the door, what did people say about it. Be objective, and at least quarterly, take a look at your marketing. Hold yourself accountable. Be brave enough to be objective. And obviously, annually, who's heading into budgets for the year? This is usually that time, around October, November. Everybody starts sweating it out, and you're wondering, you're fighting for every nickel. Good time to look at all your marketing objectives. Again, everyone has in their packs the different steps to the marketing process. Sorry, my brain shut off about a minute ago. Discovery, understand your business universe, do your homework. Let's ask ourselves objective questions. Who's our client? What's their message? What's important to them? Ideation, let's take all that together and craft some messaging. Craft what we're going to do, what we're going to say, who our market is. What is the right story to the right customer? When is the right time to do it? Strategy. What's our overall way that we're going to deliver that message to everyone? Tactics. What specifically are we going to do to make this happen? Analysis. Okay, we did all these things. Did we do a good job? What did we do right? What could we do better? What made us money? What didn't make us money? What brought people in the door? Where did we fall short? Be objective. And then adaptation. Okay, we did all this. This was good based on what was good. Let's keep doing it. Always ask yourself this question. This is what we try and do with our clients. This is what we did. This is why we did it. This was the result. And then most importantly, based on that, this is what we need to do going forward. Because that's where the money is. That's where the marketing really happens. This is what we know. This is what happened. Here's what we need to do. Marketing is not something you do once. Marketing is a process. It's a long-term thing. Always be nimble enough, be sprightly enough to change it and make it happen. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to ask a couple things. Number one, if anyone in here would like to, this is my only sales pitch and it's short-lived. If anyone would like to meet with me to talk about their marketing, I'm very happy to do that. I promise you what you're seeing today, I'm fairly low-key, a little intense at times, but pretty low-key. If I can help you, great. If I can't, terrific. Sometimes I help people, I give them a little free advice. Sometimes we do a little review, we point them in the right direction. Sometimes they become clients. We've got some people in the room that has happened. Okay? If you would like to do that, everyone has a survey. I'll ask you please fill out the survey. Let us know what we're doing good, what we can do better. And if you want to meet with us, check that and we'd be happy to.